Hello, Star Trek fans. Welcome to ReBingeIT. This is the ReBinge Star Trek Voyager podcast. My name is Kim.
And my name is James.
And we are rebinging Star Trek Voyager from the beginning, one episode at a time. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we are on Season 3, Episode 26, the season finale, Scorpion, Part 1. This episode aired May 21st, 1997.
We've made it all the way through Season 3. It's been a rocky road. Maybe not as rocky as some of the Deep Space Nine early seasons. We've had highs and lows. So the plan is, next week, we will release the season wrap-up with thoughts on Season 3 and our best and worst. Then we take a quick 2-week break because Comic-Con will be in there. That's in our recording schedule. And we will be back with Season 4.
Yeah, so it's just like when this episode was released. You had to wait until the cliffhanger was wrapped up at the beginning of Season 4. So you're also going to have to wait for the cliffhanger to be wrapped up. But it won't be quite as long. Just with the wrap-up and a couple weeks off, it'll just be 3 weeks of you longing for us. And then we'll be back at it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anything to say about last week's episode before we start here? Worst case scenario.
It was great to see Seska back in all of her glory. Even if she was a hologram, she was still wonderfully wicked and Cardassian.
A really funny running joke would have been if Seska had somehow placed herself into the holodeck so that she appears in every holodeck program, even the new ones they create. Like, you can't avoid the character just appearing and messing with your program.
Oh, that would be funny. Like, every time you add a character, it's Seska.
And then you have to adjust it or just accept Seska. They should have done that on Lower Decks. That would have been really funny.
Why does every holo character always start out looking the same? That would have been perfect.
Oh, that would have been excellent.
Yeah.
Missed a chance. Well, this episode doesn't have Seska, which is a bummer, but it is very dramatic.
Oh,
and lots of action. So the this might be a long one. That's what I'm saying.
Buckle up. This could be like the dinosaur episode.
It's probably not going to be that long, but who knows? Let's see.
We open on 2 Borg cubes, giving the classic, "We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own." And the Borg do get a bad rep, but you have to appreciate their noble pursuit of bringing other races closer to perfection.
What are you, the Borg Queen or something?
Guess who just watched First Contact again?
Oh, geez.
And then something off-screen fires at them, destroying both Borg cubes instantly with only 5 shots. I mean, I think the 4th and 5th shots there were just kind of overkill. They were just underlining what they were doing. But something just blew up these cubes like nothing.
And you missed the dramatic line read because it was right when they said resistance is, and then they blew up. Priceless.
And into the opening titles.
That's the shortest cold open I think we've ever seen.
And it was so on point.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, the Borg episode. Not Borg Light, not the alternative happy collective. This is the full-on, we will assimilate you collective. Back to Voyager, and we're in the holodeck with John Rhys Davis playing Leonardo da Vinci. This was awesome.
Did you recognize him in all the makeup?
Instantly.
Oh.
Captain Janeway is playing this holo novel, and I don't know why she's in uniform.
Well, maybe because she's realized it's more comfortable than whatever nonsense the period would tell her to wear.
Oh, very good point. And she doesn't have to do a costume change. We blew all our budget on special effects. There's no costuming in this one.
Now that is true.
Well, she's asking the Da Vinci character for some space in his studio, and we see some of his inventions and some sketches of the Mona Lisa, and we see his primitive flying machine, which Janeway makes some design suggestions to, and he agrees to work with her to redesign it. So I guess this is one of the decision paths of this game or holo novel?
Yeah, if you can't convince him, then I guess you have to reprogram.
The game's over. Janeway is interrupted by a call from Chakotay to see something in engineering. And B'Elanna shows Janeway the last few seconds of telemetry from a long-range probe. And we see a Borg cube closing in. Chakotay tells her, this could be it. Borg space. Nice and dramatic there.
Yeah, it's always big drama with the Borg. And also in the little video that they look at, there's a Borg, like, reaching for the probe.
Oh, yes.
Zzzt. It's probably been assimilated.
Now, in a briefing, they've determined Borg space is vast, with thousands of Borg solar systems. They've also found a narrow path through Borg space devoid of any activity, and they're going to follow it.
Yeah, Chakotay calls it the Northwest Passage, but it seems almost ridiculous that you would think, oh, gee, there's a clear path right through. That's what we should do. It's like, come on.
That's the part of space that the Borg have put in subspace mines.
Yeah. What could go wrong? In fact, that's what my notes say. What could go wrong?
Very accurate, yeah.
B'Elanna does say that the passage is filled with intense gravimetric distortions.
Yeah.
Caused by a string of quantum singularities. This episode has a lot of technobabble.
Yes.
This is a good example of it. And it's like, okay, so their theory is the Borg don't go in there because of the singularities and the distortion that it's caused.
Right.
But somehow they think Voyager can go in there and just ride it out.
Okay, I have a theory here.
Mm-hmm.
This might be justified by Janeway and maybe with B'Elanna and Tom figuring out that they can actually navigate past these distortions. Voyager is small enough that it doesn't have enough mass that maybe it won't be ripped apart by these phenomena. Yes, it might be a bit dangerous and a bit of a roll of a dice, but we've seen how cautious they've been in the past, and I feel that their theory is they can ride these things out. They can navigate their way through because they're such a small ship compared to like a Borg cube.
Okay. The pragmatist in me is freaking out. At the end of this scene, Janeway says, "We'll do everything possible to avoid a direct confrontation, but if it happens, we'll be ready." It's like, spoiler alert, they do not do everything possible to avoid a direct confrontation.
Yeah.
Not even close.
They're all now preparing for the Borg, and most interestingly, the Doctor is working on a possible medical defense for Borg assimilation technology. And that's a really big deal right there. I mean, pull up a Beverly Crusher hologram and the two of you can get to work on that.
Oh, that would have been brilliant.
If I was making this, we've got John Rhys Davis. Screw the budget. I want Gates McFadden in here.
Yeah, she's probably expensive right after First Contact.
Yes. Janeway concludes with a pep talk telling them when they do eventually engage the Borg, she has confidence in every one of them. And I think this is an important leadership point here. They all know how bad the Borg are. And having Janeway tell them, we've got this, I feel must go some way to helping keep the terror of this situation under control.
Yeah.
You don't sound convinced.
Well, there's overconfidence, and I think she suffers from that in this episode a few times, but I can see why she's doing it. You want to have a positive attitude, and you certainly want to give off the feeling that you believe you're going to live through it. At the same time, you want people to speak up if they don't agree or if they see something you don't see. If you're falsely confident, I think that's a dangerous slope to be sliding down.
Do you think she's guilty of that here?
Well, I mean, I expressed all my concerns. We think we're going to go into this passageway that the Borg can't go in. She says we're going to try to avoid a confrontation, even though she does not try to avoid a confrontation.
Yeah.
They don't have any real reason to think this is going to just be easy. Mm-hmm. And they have absolutely no evidence that no matter what they've done to their shields or their weapons, that they can survive even one Borg cube.
Yeah.
No other ship has been able to. So where is this confidence coming from? I would rather she was giving a speech like, look, I believe in all of you. This is the best of I have the best of the best working on this, but this is going to be tough. And we have to really pull together. And if you see something that isn't right, you have to speak up. And I just think you got to not just be the king standing on top. You have to be looking for input from everyone.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to survive without the team here.
Do you think that's a classic Trek captain trait, though? We can do this. We can get through it, regardless of, if you like, the reality of it.
Yeah, I suppose in this situation, it requires you to be almost unrealistically confident, or you wouldn't go into anything dangerous.
All good points. We cut to a montage seeing how throughout the ship, the crew is preparing. There's a whole slew of crew members I'm pretty sure we've never seen before.
Oh, yeah. We've never seen those people.
Who are these people? And I noticed there's a great scene where Janeway is handing out her box of big rifles.
Yeah, she looks worried. Like, take care of these.
Yeah.
These are mine. I want these back.
This is my personal stock.
I want all of these back, cleaned, polished, and put in the box.
In sickbay, the doctor is going over how the Borg assimilate their victims. And I assume this was people who haven't watched TNG or First Contact.
Yes.
To listeners, go and watch all the Borg episodes and First Contact.
Well, it's news to Kes.
Oh, true, yes. I kind of like how the doctor has a table full of Borg bits and is holding a Borg hand.
Yeah.
Apparently, the Borg injection tubules can penetrate any alloy or energy field, so they must work on a defense inside the body. And I think this is one of those classic stretching it a little bit too far. The Borg have a technology that can literally penetrate anything.
Mm-hmm.
They have the ultimate weapon. Shields mean nothing. Material means nothing. Why haven't they rolled up the entire galaxy in about 2 weeks? What if you put an explosive inside these tubelets that can penetrate anything?
Well, they're not trying to destroy. They're trying to assimilate.
Yeah. But if they end up in a situation where they just want to destroy their enemies, how can they lose? I think this is that they've made a super weapon and you have to back off from this.
Well, and they do, because they are about to run into something that they can't penetrate. But I think it would have helped if he had said any known organic material or any known alloy or something like that. But he says any.
Yeah.
It can get through anything.
I mean, he could say anything that they have, anything that Starfleet has, and that would
something
work.
Like that, just to limit it a bit.
Right.
Yeah, I think we're being a bit dramatic for the story.
You know, maybe that's actually just the Doctor.
Maybe.
This isn't actual reality, but he's just stretching the definition a little bit. The Doctor's plan is to bolster the immune system to attack the Borg nanoprobes and slow down the assimilation mechanism. As Kes is looking at the pile of Borg parts, she has an awesome flash or vision of a stack of bloody severed Borg, all in parts, piled into a column. Coming out of the vision, she tells the Doctor there were dozens of them, all dead. You should totally pause that part. It's really awesome. There are like heads and arms and legs, all Borg. I feel somebody who takes the time to do that is sending a message.
Yeah, it's unlike anything we've seen before on Star Trek.
Right.
And you just get a quick flash here, and then you get a little bit more of it later. I'm going to tell you about that pile of Borg bodies when we get to overanalysis.
Okay. A couple of things here.
Mm-hmm.
All those Borg parts that the Doctor has and they're handling, they were a person. Should he be showing some kind of respect to the remains of a Borg victim?
Yeah. Maybe these are the inorganic parts.
Oh, good catch. Yeah, I suppose if they weren't, they probably would have got pretty smelly and gross by now.
Yeah, they would have started to decompose.
Yeah. Also, just thinking about it, is this the fabled Borg Slayer that Girardi warned about?
Gosh, I don't remember that. What did she say?
The destruction of the Borg, it always happens the same way. A united federation, a lone Borg Slayer.
Oh, well, but it isn't a lone Borg Slayer. But it's maybe part of the myth.
And maybe here, this would be the Doctor Who Star Trek crossover event. A side story about Absalom Dak crossing over to deal with the Borg. He's an awesome Dalek killer that appeared in the comics.
Mm. Is this who you were thinking about doing a costume of?
Yes.
Oh.
He's an awesomely wonderful, awesomely awful character.
The Borg are a very Doctor Who-y kind of villain.
Yes.
So, yeah, that would make sense.
Kind of like the Cybermen.
Mm-hmm.
Tuvok now reports to Janeway that Kes has received several telepathic visions of the death of Borg and the destruction of Voyager, and it could be a premonition.
At this point, Janeway gives the line that defines a lot of her decisions. She says, well, we can't just ignore her intuition, meaning Kes, but I see no reason to alter our plan.
Okay, I see a flaw with that, Kim.
Okay, so you are going to ignore her intuition completely. Why even say it if you're just going to ignore it?
She's just saying that to make Tuvok feel better.
Yeah, I'm not saying that she shouldn't ignore it, but, why say you can't ignore it? Just to turn around and absolutely ignore it.
Harry reports he's detected transwarp signatures, and they're closing on Voyager. And without warning, Voyager drops out of warp B'Elanna reports subspace turbulence means they cannot generate a warp field. Then things get worse, as Harry reports it's 2 Borg vessels, no 3, and then finally ending up with it's 15 Borg vessels. And they're closing. Janeway orders shields and weapons, and we see on screen literally a field of Borg cubes, all flying towards Voyager.
And Chakotay accurately says, "My God."
Yes. Well, that hasn't gone well. Remember that bit about, I'm going to actively avoid the Borg?
Yeah, we were going to avoid all confrontation.
Yeah. Cut to a great space shot of all the cubes as they fly past Voyager, seemingly ignoring it, with just one cube pausing to scan Voyager and then taking off to rejoin the others. That was funny because as it's scanning with a polaron beam, Janeway says, "Think good thoughts."
Yeah, I like that.
Continuing on the bridge, they suffer no damage and warp engines are back online. Janeway orders Harry to keep a long-range sensor lock on the Borg Armada, noting they seem to be in quite a hurry, and then retreats to a ready room to, I assume, hyperventilate for a bit.
Yeah. Check her blood pressure.
Yeah, she walks in there and just shouts, "Holy crap!"
Mm-hmm.
In her ready room, Janeway is now reading classified documents about the Borg. I was thinking, why would you classify all that stuff? They're a threat to everybody. So wouldn't Starfleet want everyone to know everything they have about the Borg?
Well, I suppose it's to stop panic, but you would think that anybody with a ranking could read them.
Yeah.
Well, look at it this way, though.
Yeah.
What they've classified, things that she's reading, are the specific things that the captains who encountered them are saying.
Yeah.
So she's probably reading the classified logs of the captains.
Oh.
Not reading all the briefings.
Yeah. Chakotay points out Janeway hasn't eaten since the previous evening, but she just wants to keep working. She's reviewed everything Starfleet has on the Borg and quotes Picard. In their collective state, the Borg are utterly without mercy, driven by one will alone, the will to conquer. I thought that did sound very Picardian. It's definitely got his style.
Yes, it did.
Finishing with, they're beyond redemption, beyond reason. Which is interesting, considering he was Locutus before he was rescued. So there's one Borg who wasn't beyond redemption.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I assume he's talking about the Borg as the collective rather than the individual drones.
Yeah, because there was also Hugh, who they freed from the collective. So, yeah, he's seen others, not just himself, sort of unborgified. But yeah, I think he's saying as an enemy. Yeah.
Janeway also quotes Captain Amasov of the Endeavour.
Yeah, I read that was actually based on Asimov. A little bit of a trick there.
Yeah.
Switching the letters around.
Chakotay finds this funny, that when she's reading these logs, she does it in the style of the particular captain. Personally, I didn't see it with Picard, but I'll take Chakotay's word on Amasov.
Yeah, she didn't have an accent. She didn't try it with a French accent.
Right.
That Jean-Luc Picard should have.
Yeah. There's a little humor here when Chakotay grasses up Ensign Hickman, who does a very passable Janeway. I feel bad for Hickman because she's now going to get assigned holodeck cleanup for the next 6 months.
Oh, you can't be upset about stuff like that. Like, every time I have to run a meeting at work where I have to share, like, organizational changes and I'm forced to share an org chart, I complain in the meeting because I hate org charts so much. I hate putting them together. They change all the time.
Yeah.
And there's just, what is duller than having to sit through somebody showing you org charts?
Oh, somebody doing a 2.5-hour meeting on email retention policies.
And at the end of each meeting, we do a little survey to ask people what they thought of the meeting, what they'd like to change.
Yeah.
And somebody in one of the meetings wrote, "I'd like to see more org charts."
Oh.
And I really laughed. I was like, that's pretty funny. So it's just absolutely 100% making fun of me, and I did find it funny. So I would hope that Janeway would be able to find it funny.
This brief moment of levity comes crashing down as Janeway tells Chakotay this day was inevitable. At what point is the risk too great? At what point do they come about and retreat to friendly territory? Could the crew even accept living out their lives in the Delta Quadrant? She looks at all these other captains as her comrades in arms, but here she's alone. Chakotay replies, "If that moment comes, we'll face it together, and we'll make the right decision. You're not alone, Catherine." What a great scene. I feel here this is kind of the weight of command finally catching up to Janeway.
But we talked about that a lot in season 1, that she doesn't have anybody really that she can consult with and discuss things with. And I guess maybe early on she didn't know if she could trust Chakotay completely.
Yes.
And he didn't have the same experience. So I guess a few years in now, he's trying to tell her, well, you have me, but she still recognizes that the weight of command still falls to her.
Right.
And partly because if she makes a bad decision, she doesn't want to sort of paint everybody with the same brush. She wants to take the responsibility for it so that if the crew is going to be upset, they're not upset at all of leadership, right? They're maybe just upset with her and they can still turn to Chakotay and he can sort of help them get through it. So, I mean, you kind of are alone when you're at the top, but it's really bad when there's nobody else that you can consult with.
Right.
But yeah, this is a good scene. It's not the best scene in this episode, but it is a good scene.
I really like the support from Chakotay at the point when he calls her Catherine, and I thought that was the perfect moment for the personal over formal.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I don't like him being chummy.
I disagree. I did.
That's just because I don't like him.
Tuvok then calls Janeway to the bridge. The power signatures of the Borg vessels they were tracking has terminated, and the cause is unknown. In what I would describe as classic Janeway caution to the wind, she orders Tom to set course to investigate.
Again, we do not actively try to avoid confrontation. We're gonna fly right over there and see what happened.
As they arrive, we see on the view screen it's filled with Borg cube wreckage. Tuvok finds 2 residual weapon signatures, one Borg and the other unknown. And we go into the ad break with a great effect shot of Voyager flying through this debris field. Little bit 90s digital effect, but it was still good.
Yeah. Well, it's dramatic to see a bunch of destroyed Borg cubes.
Oh, yeah.
I think I read that was one of the inspirations for the whole episode, is someone was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if there was a debris field of the Borg?
Yeah.
And then figuring out what had happened. And I can see that as being a story inspiration.
Back to Janeway, who says, someone more powerful than the Borg? It's hard to imagine. Harry says this could be their ticket through Borg space, an ally.
Ooh, a friend.
But Chakotay cautions not to jump to conclusions. Good advice there. They don't scan any other vessels, but Harry does detect bio readings from the hull of a Borg wreck. And on the view screen, we see a strange-looking ship that their sensors can't penetrate. There's no response to a standard greeting, and Janeway, in classic style, wants to get a closer look. Chakotay points out this could be a biological weapon.
Right.
Fortunately, they can't get a transporter lock, and the tractor beam has no effect. I mean, seriously, this thing could have destroyed 15 Borg cubes in minutes. And they're trying to beam it on board.
And you want to beam it over. I mean, they don't even know what it is, because they call it a biomass, because they're not sure. Is it a ship? Is it an alien? You know, they say it's mostly organic.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? It could be a virus.
Yeah, like Chakotay said, a biological weapon.
Let's beam it, onto the bridge right into Ops, like they did on Deep Space Nine all the time. Let's beam that sucker right over.
Yeah, put it in Ops. What's the worst that can happen?
Totally.
Janeway orders Chakotay to take an away team over to the wreckage of the cube and get short-range scans on this biomass, telling him they'll keep an active transporter lock and beam them out at the first sign of trouble.
Sure you will.
Beaming onto the ship, Chakotay, Harry and Tuvok are surrounded by dead Borg. A few are trying to repair the cube, and the place is just trashed. There are also some Borg flailing around and malfunctioning. Great scene. Absolutely awesome sets.
And there's sparks really flying. There's a lot of bright flashing lights. So if you're sensitive to that like I am, it was tough to watch this scene.
They follow the bio readings and run into the stacked pile of dismembered Borg from Kess's vision.
Oh, yeah.
Tuvok calling it curious.
Mm-hmm. Like, oh, that's an interesting pile of dead bodies.
Yes. It's quite impressive. Someone worked really hard to build that dismembered Borg sculpture. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, I imagine the villain just sort of keeps throwing them into that room and the pile just gets higher and higher. But somehow it's quite sculpted.
Yeah, it's nicely put together.
Yeah.
They took their time.
Yeah, it's like an art installation.
They continue their trek through the cube and find the biomass. It's dissolved right through the hull and into the Borg cube. I also notice here there's lots of like steam and smoke and vapors being discharged around the cube.
Yeah.
How much of this stuff is toxic?
No gas masks, yeah. Like you said, we blew the budget on this episode. We couldn't afford putting us in biosuits.
Standing by the biomass, there's one lone Borg repeatedly trying to assimilate it and failing. And it's funny because it like keeps on stabbing it and then going, oh!
Yeah, it is like Bart on The Simpsons. He kept getting a shock, but still kept whatever he was touching, he still kept touching it.
They seem to think the biomass is actually a ship. And Tuvok notes, the Breen use organic-based vessels. Do we ever make reference to this again in Star Trek?
Oh, I don't remember. We saw Breen vessels in Deep Space Nine.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I didn't see anything about that on Memory Alpha, and I wouldn't remember a detail like that from Deep Space Nine, but this does seem to be news.
Yeah, I won't count the Discovery and the Breen appearance because that's like 900 years after this, so the Breen could have done anything.
Yeah.
We swapped to inorganic ships because the other ones kept going off if you didn't keep them in the freezer.
Kept getting a lot of black mold.
Chakotay calls Janeway, telling her the biomass may be a ship of some kind, and they head on board while Harry downloads the Borg tactical database. On the bioship, they find a single command chair that's also very large and various biological-based technology. Meanwhile, Harry starts hearing a roaring sound somewhere in the distance.
Yeah, don't go looking on your own. What are you doing?
This is the best time to call Voyager and say, yeah, we need to leave now.
Yes, beam me home, please. Help. And also, since we've seen the giant chair, it's like,
yeah.
Now we know, now we're thinking alien.
Right. I mean, that chair looked like it was, just the seat was about 6 feet off the ground. That's a big alien.
Yeah.
In the bioship, Tuvok finds a Borg body that seems to be covered in like an orange network of tiny vines, which are spreading over its face. Back to Harry, and the roaring is getting louder. That lone Borg, who the whole time has been trying to assimilate the bioship, just nopes out of there.
He finally goes, I give up.
Yeah.
Maybe it has, after 7,015 tries. Just move on.
Yeah, find something else to do. Harry explores a little as the roaring continues, and we cut to Kes on Voyager, who has a sudden vision of a screaming Harry and tells the doctor, get them out of there.
Oh, yeah.
Harry calls Tuvok and Chakotay, saying there's something in there with them. He can't localize it, but it's close. And Tuvok helpfully points out, perhaps the pilot has returned. Yeah. And you know what? Now would probably be the best time to leave.
Yes, because look how many Borg he has killed. What are you going to do? Vulcan neck pinch him? No.
Janeway tries to beam them out, but B'Elanna can't get a lock. There's bioelectric interference from whatever is coming towards them. And I thought there was supposed to be an active transporter lock on them the whole time they were on the cube.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe it was working until that thing got too close.
Yeah.
Or they got too close maybe to the ship.
Oh.
Because that also could have been giving it off.
That's a very good point.
Which, again, is why you don't just jump over there and see what happens.
I feel when the transporter lock broke, because they were supposed to be keeping it active, B'Elanna maybe should have mentioned it to the captain.
Well, she probably did, and Janeway was like, yeah.
They'll be fine.
I need to know what's in that ship.
The other alternative is Janeway just tells them that to make them feel better.
Maybe.
We're sending you on an incredibly dangerous, possibly suicidal mission. We'll have the transporter lock on, trust me.
I mean, it's sort of infuriating when in the stories, there's just a reason that the transporter doesn't work, or there's a reason that the shields don't work. It's just like we always come up with some reason, and you're just like, oy.
Well, whatever the thing is, it's getting closer to the away team. B'Elanna is now trying to get a skeletal lock on the away team, and Chakotay reports the life form is only 5 meters away, and it's closing.
We're just going to beam your bones over and leave the rest of you there.
Good luck.
And then, we'll just gather some organic material and put you back together.
Yeah, the doctor can probably do it.
Yeah. I like how B'Elanna says, yeah, I just thought of it, but I'm sure it'll work. What?
That's a classic Trek.
Try something crazy and untested in an emergency is absolutely classic Trek.
Back on the cube, the creature bursts through a wall, and we get a fantastic effect shot of this 3-legged, extremely alien-looking creature just bursts through the wall, knock down 2 Borg, and then seeing Harry takes a swing at him. And a screaming Harry is beamed away. That creature is the stuff of nightmares. It's really well designed. I mean, it looks really alien. It's got like 3 legs and 2 arms that we see, and then the shape of the face and the head. It's brilliant. It's really nicely done.
Yeah, we rarely do non-humanoid aliens because we can't have somebody playing them. And so this is clearly computer-generated effects that they had to use to get this. And it kind of is like a giant, like, praying mantis is what it reminded me of.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, but there's something about its face when it looks at Harry that you kind of get the impression that it's going, what are you doing here?
Who the hell are you?
And then, bam, hits him.
On Voyager, Tom reports the bioship is powering up, and Kes gets another vision flash of the alien. As Janeway orders Tom, get them out of there. But this is not before the bioship gets a couple of shots off at Voyager, one hitting them and causing Voyager to spin uncontrollably. Chaos is on board, but Tom manages to jump to warp. Another brief little space battle. Great effects. This episode is absolutely rocking with the space effects. Question here, though. So, if that thing, the bioship, could take out Borg cubes with a couple of shots, shouldn't one hit on Voyager just toast it? I mean, it was a direct hit on Voyager.
Yes, but maybe it glanced off the shields, or, maybe he didn't have time to power it fully or something. Because we do see later when they take a big shot that they have sort of a sequence to power it up. And also, he probably just really doesn't care about that ship, and he's just like, just get out of here.
It was just a warning shot. Just drive them away. Drive the bugs away.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, it's just like a gnat.
I suppose we could headcanon it. When Tuvok was on the ship, he notes it was actually repairing.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So it was damaged.
This was a low-powered shot.
And it was configured for the Borg ship. And
nice one. That's a good one, yeah.
And there was probably an ion storm and,
There was subspatial interference.
Yeah.
Kes now tells Janeway the pilot of the bioship was trying to communicate. They're a telepathic species, and it's not the Borg they should be worried about. As this creature said, the weak will perish. And now you're really in trouble.
Oh, no. One thing about them, though, their catchphrase, not as good. The weak will perish, not as good as resistance is futile.
Yeah.
That just sounds like a bully. We're going to come in here and screw all your stuff up. Parker Posey style.
Into Janeway's log, 50984.3, just in case you were wondering, Kim. Which is 12 hours later.
That's what my notes say. My notes say 12 hours later.
They're not being pursued, and the passage through Borg space is now only 1 day away. In sickbay, Harry is covered in the orange alien vines, like we saw on the Borg in the alien ship. The doctor says the alien cells are consuming Harry's body. He's being eaten alive, and even worse, he's still conscious. Sedatives don't work, and every treatment the doctor has tried is neutralized in seconds. And Harry truly is the Mars O'Brien of Voyager.
Oh, that is horrible.
This is like the second time in a month Harry's being digested or modified by an alien virus.
Oh, yeah. And this time is not nearly as much fun.
Yeah.
There's no babes hanging off him.
The doctor shows Janeway the alien cells, describing them as the most densely coded life form he's ever seen, with over 100 times the DNA of a human. Anything that penetrates the alien cell membrane, chemical, biological, technological, is instantly destroyed. And this is why the Borg can't assimilate them. I liked how Janeway looked a little shocked at this discovery.
Oh, yeah. Well, because we were already upset that the Borg could assimilate anything, and now we're like, oh, wait.
These things are worse.
Nothing can get through this one. We are in big trouble.
The doctor telling her, resistance, in this case, is far from futile. And I admit, I really like that line. On a positive note, the doctor has figured out how to make Borg nanoprobes mimic the alien cells, and he can use them to kill the alien cells. But unfortunately, he only has a few prototypes. He'll need several days to make enough to cure Harry, and doesn't know if he'll last long enough. Off to B'Elanna, who's deciphered the Borg tactical database, and we learn they call the aliens Species 8472, and in over a dozen occasions, they have attacked and swiftly defeated the Borg. Chakotay asks, where do the aliens come from? B'Elanna taps some buttons. Chakotay looks at the screen and very calmly says, get the captain.
Uh-oh.
That was great. That whole scene is so well set up for, okay, something big is coming. And it's a really simple scene. It's just the three of them. You don't even see what's on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Cut to the bridge, and Janeway announces they've arrived at the Northwest Passage, their planned route through Borg space. And on the view screen, we see the Northwest Passage is full of hundreds of the alien bioships.
Yeah. Now, how come we couldn't see them before?
Because, as Harry said, they can't scan them. I think when they were looking, these things weren't even registering.
Which is why we should have figured there was something going on in that passage that kept the Borg out.
I assume they thought it was just the quantum singularities, and the Borg just didn't want to deal with having to navigate through them.
Right.
In classic Voyager style, things seem to be getting even worse. Tuvok's detected a quantum singularity, and we see on the view screen a bright area of space with even more of the bioships just flying through it. Kes reports to Janeway she can hear them. The aliens are from a place where they're all alone. Nothing else lives. And she senses a malevolence and a cold hatred. And she repeats the line from earlier. The weak will perish. And then the kicker. It's an invasion. They intend to destroy everything. So, the Delta Quadrant, the Quadrant of Jerks, now has a wormhole that leads to an even jerkier race.
Somewhere even worse. Yeah. And Janeway's like, take us 5 light years away. 5 light years away?
Well, that was kind of a shocking move. Janeway orders Tom to back off and hold position.
Take me 500 light years away is what she should have said. Get me out of here.
Don't you think Tom was wanting to ask, you sure you don't want me to go closer, get a better look?
Oy.
Janeway calls Chakotay to a ready room and tells him, that moment we talked about earlier, it's here. The Northwest Passage is no longer an option. The choice is facing the Borg in their own space or finding a nice planet in the Delta Quadrant. Chakotay points out it's not giving up. They still may find another way home, but Janeway doesn't look too thrilled at that suggestion.
No, that is not on her bingo card.
Oh, yeah. She doesn't want to face the crew and tell them they're quitting, as there must be another alternative. Chakotay reminds her she's not slept in 2 days, asking her to get some rest to clear her head. They're safer now. They can tell the crew in the morning.
We are 5 whole light years away from these horrible aliens. They'll never find us.
I like that scene because I think Chakotay was a really supportive first officer. And I like how he's encouraging Janeway to at least sleep on it.
Mm-hmm.
We cut to Janeway waking in the middle of the night and going to her Da Vinci holoprogram, finding him looking at a pattern of light on the wall. And he tells her of all the images he sees in that light, and talks of worlds created and destroyed by his imagination. She tells him of their plight, putting it in terms of mortal enemies on either side, and if she attempts to travel through them, she'll be destroyed. But if she turns around, it ends any chance of getting home. Da Vinci tells her, when one's imagination cannot provide an answer, one must seek out a higher imagination, and how even he finds himself sometimes kneeling in prayer. The holo character has to deliver a bronzetto to a monastery and tells her, we'll wake the abbot, visit the chapel, and appeal to God. But Janeway looks at the shadows and has an idea. She tells Da Vinci, there's an alternative I hadn't considered. What if we make an appeal to the devil?
Yeah, it's cute. He's suggesting she asks God, and she's like, no, I'm thinking the devil.
And this is where I would have started playing Van Halen's Running with the Devil as they cut to the ad break. Not that I'm a Van Halen fan. I think I know that song and Jump. And those are the only ones I know.
Oh, well, Panama was one of their greats.
I really don't know that song.
They made a point of Da Vinci looking at the shadows on the wall and what he sees.
Yeah.
Right? Like you talked about, he says his imagination's building up worlds and destroying them. And when he asks her what she sees, at first she just says, oh, I see the candlelight reflections on the wall. Like, I don't see anything.
The wall.
And then when she has her idea, she's looking at that wall. Like something there has made her think about things differently. And I do kind of like that. Like sometimes you need something to free your mind in order to come up with a crazy idea. And I've certainly experienced that where I've just gone, oh, there's just no way I can do this because I've been thinking about all the paths that I'm used to taking. And then something just sort of crazy will click. So, I appreciate that he kind of brought that out in her in this moment.
Oh, yeah. I think that is the point of this scene. And I think it's a very real point of when you're absolutely focused on something, you can miss things that are on the periphery, on the edges. So I think it's a really good real world kind of thing of take the break, think of something outside of your normal, and an alternative approach will come through.
And I think that's why she created him.
Yeah.
Was to help her with that, right? To give her that opportunity to be creative. Yeah. But my point in the earlier scene where you were saying this is good leadership and I was saying I'm not so sure is I think you take your senior staff or you take your most trusted people. Maybe you don't want to take them all. I don't know, but maybe you're taking Chakotay, you're taking Tuvok and B'Elanna, who's extremely creative, and you're putting them into a room and you're saying, look, this is the situation we're in. I need ideas. Yeah. And you're kicking things around together because if you do it that way, you're much more likely to whatever crazy thing you all agree to, you're much more likely to get everybody completely committed and on board.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas if you go away, make your own decision and you come back and you haven't even heard anybody else's idea.
Yeah.
Right? Now they're going to be like, okay, and that's why I don't think that's great leadership in that moment, what she says, where she's like, oh, you guys are all great and I'm sure we're going to be great. It's like, no, you're missing a part of it. You're missing a part of leadership, which is bringing the people into it because you're not the smartest person in the room all the time in every situation. Yeah. So get some ideas. Yeah. It helps you build loyalty, but it also probably, you probably would have come to the same conclusion, or they might have had some other ideas that you didn't even think of.
Yeah, you'd probably get something good potentially coming out of the other people there. They're supposed to be your senior staff. Use them.
It's like the decision she had to make in the pilot, where she just decided, we're staying here, right? We're not going to let the Ocampa be slaughtered and we're going to stay. Yeah. I get that.
That was a purely moral decision.
Yeah, that was basically a Starfleet-based decision that this is what a Starfleet captain needs us to do in the situation. Agreed. We are so far from that now. We are at a point that is not something any Starfleet captain has ever encountered. Yeah. And it is not just a simple decision. And what you're about to do is you're about to put the 148 people on this ship into mortal peril. Yeah. And there are other options, but we don't even take the time to consider them. So I just wasn't sure that was the right thing to do as a leader in that moment.
Interesting.
I kind of get why they write it that way. And I also don't always think that the people who write know how to be leaders. So sometimes they think they're doing a good leadership thing, but it's like, yeah, you've obviously not done that before.
Cut to Tom with the senior staff asking, an alliance with the Borg? Janeway brilliantly reframes it as an exchange, saying in return they'd get safe passage through Borg space. She brings up how the Doctor has developed a method to attack the aliens at a microscopic level, and that would give the Borg a blueprint to fight them.
And the Doctor's like, wait a minute.
Yes.
I just started on that, and that so reminded me of you have to be careful what you tell executives, because that's exactly what happens. You'd be like, I was playing around with this thing on the weekend. That turns into we have a whole product the next day, and they're telling everybody it's ready to go. And you're like, oh, my God.
Product announcement on Monday. Sales is already bringing in orders.
Oh, I have been in that situation where I thought, why did I say that? Now I'm screwed.
They talk about how the Borg know almost nothing about species 8472, and B'Elanna brings up how the Borg only learn through assimilation. What they can't assimilate, they can't understand. Janeway says this is what gives them the edge. They have something the Borg need. Neelix doubts the Borg will cooperate, and Kes brings up that the Borg are losing this conflict. Janeway does a wonderful job of rationalizing her plan, saying,
oh, yeah,
the Borg are no different from us. They're just trying to survive. And interesting, because I don't think Janeway and Voyager are hell-bent on subjugating every other race in the quadrant or the galaxy.
Yeah. Yeah, she is rationalizing.
I think what she said falls under technically true, but misses a massive amount of actual practical detail of how the Borg operate.
Yeah, and she's just defending her crazy idea instead of discussing her crazy idea.
She's sure the Borg won't refuse their offer and has a plan to stop the Borg from taking it. The Doctor will transfer all of his research into the holomatrix. If the Borg threaten them in any way, they'll erase his program. He looks a little concerned at that point.
Like, wait, what? At what now?
She concludes Voyager is just one small ship. Their safe passage is a small price for the Borg to pay for what they're offering as an exchange. She orders Tom to find the nearest Borg ship and to lay in a course, dismissing them.
Oh.
Chakotay remains, and Janeway asks why he was so quiet, and he says it's because he didn't want to discuss what he has to say in front of the others.
Yep.
Now, that's good practice, choosing the right time to talk to your boss. Chakotay tells her the story of the scorpion and the fox, where a fox gives a scorpion a ride across the river, and halfway through, the scorpion stings the fox, so they'll both end up drowning. The fox asks the scorpion why he did it, and the scorpion says, "It's my nature."
Mm-hmm. I think that really encapsulates the Borg.
Yeah.
And that's what Chakotay is saying, is that no matter what you're trying to do here, trying to talk to them, trying to negotiate, try to make a deal, it's in their nature to assimilate. Nothing is going to change that.
Yeah.
And he's not wrong.
Right.
I thought it was an excellent story and well told. A lot of times when he goes into his little parables, it's just like, oy. But this was a good one, I thought. It's like, yeah, quite clear.
He's really trying to point out to her that the very nature of the Borg is the thing she's denying.
Yes, they have already lost their humanity.
Yeah.
All they do is assimilate. And she was reading that. That's what Picard said.
Yeah.
That's what those captains had said in their logs. But that somehow, she's just set all of that aside to make this decision.
She's really rolling the dice on this one.
She really is. How many times have we said she's not cautious? And how many times over would they have been dead? Because this is wild. Even like this idea that we're going to put all the info in the doctor's holomation, that we'll just delete it if they don't want to do it. Well, then you're going to get assimilated. So, even your backup plan is not a backup plan.
Your backup plan is we all die.
Yeah.
Janeway continues saying she's convinced because the Borg have never been threatened in this way, they'll make a deal. Chakotay replies, and how long will they keep up their end of the bargain? Janeway is still convinced they have the Borg over a barrel. They just need the courage to see it through. I do feel Janeway has a very valid point here.
Mm-hmm.
This is a race that can destroy the Borg with absolute impunity. Yep. And they probably, it's unlikely they've ever encountered anything like this. But it's still a huge leap.
Well, I do feel like they both make good points in this scene. It's like they're both right and they're both wrong. Because she's not wrong that a species that's worse than the Borg is bad news.
Right, yeah.
Nothing good comes out of letting this alien race defeat the Borg because they're going to keep going. And also
take over Borg space, yeah.
They've called it an invasion. So are they invading the quadrant? Are they invading space? Because they don't seem to live in normal space. Yeah. So she's right that there's a larger threat here. And Chakotay is trying to tell her there's also courage in backing away and protecting the crew and finding a different way home. But she's fighting back saying, if they take over Borg space, they'll threaten us then anyway. So all we're doing is putting it off. And the one advantage that we have will be gone.
Chakotay is very unconvinced, telling her not every problem has an immediate solution. He's suggesting they should turn around and allow the Borg and species 8472 to fight it out. They should explore the Delta Quadrant more and maybe find another way home. Janeway does bring up the bigger problem. What happens in 6 months when 8472 gets through with the Borg?
Yeah.
They could be right back in the line of fire. Chakotay asks, how much is our safety worth? We'd be giving an advantage to a race that's murdered billions, and we'd be helping them assimilate another species just to get ourselves back home. And very passionately states, it's wrong. Janeway rejects this, saying, we could be doing the Delta Quadrant a favor. But Chakotay doesn't relent, telling her she's trying to justify her plan because she wants to get the crew home and it's blinding her to other options. I don't think there's any question of that.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
He knows her. And sometimes she doesn't know when to step back. Never a truer word was said.
Mm-hmm.
Janeway quietly asks him, do you trust me? Yesterday you were saying we'd face this together, that you'd be at my side. He replies, I still have to tell you what I believe. I'm no good to you if I don't do that. I like that. He is not a yes man. He's not just going to go along with it without saying his piece.
But she's almost not even interested in listening.
Yes.
She's kind of gone off the deep end about it.
Completely. Mm-hmm. Switching to stern Janeway mode, she tells him, "The time for debate is over. I've made my decision." And then softening asks, "Do I have your support?" Chakotay says, "You are the captain. I'll follow your orders. But that doesn't change my belief. You're making a fatal mistake." Janeway just replies, "Then I guess I'm alone after all," and dismisses Chakotay. Wow. Such a great scene between these two.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel this is Janeway's pale moonlight moment. Except Sisko didn't have anyone to discuss it with in this way.
It's similar, for sure.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to hear her say the time for debate is over. You never debated it. You never allowed debate. You never had a discussion.
What exact debate was there?
It's a little bit like Picard in First Contact. And he just kind of loses it over the Borg.
Yes.
And won't listen to, he won't be told.
Yeah.
Right? He won't listen to what anybody else says. And they all follow his orders. They're all like, this is wrong, but we're doing it. Yep. It's kind of similar to that. It's like when faced with this life or death thing, it's not just a normal life or death situation. It's a situation you're not really sure you can get out of. And you're trying to do the best thing because you're convinced that just surviving is failure.
Yeah.
She's just convinced herself that if we don't get home, we don't get out of here, I have failed. Yeah. Whereas really she should be thinking, if all these people die, I have failed.
That's very true. Blow up the damn ship, John Luke.
Right. It's very similar to that. So I do think they're trying to show us that the captains are a little bit unreasonable when it comes to the Borg for good reason. They've never faced an alien race like this that they just can't defeat. So, I mean, I think with good reason. And it's not just being defeated by them. It's that fear being turned into them.
Right, yeah.
Which is worse. I think in this, I agree, this scene is amazing. It's the best scene in this whole episode. They're both so good in it.
Agreed.
And you can feel it shaking the foundation of their relationship, which I think is also good for drama.
I also think you see the character of Chakotay, I would call it his moral repugnance at Janeway even considering doing this.
Oh, completely. They're both right. He's right that they shouldn't be giving the Borg the ability to assimilate another race or even to continue existing because of what they've already done and what they will continue to do. He is not wrong about that. But she is also not wrong that if this other species is so powerful, they destroy the Borg, they're not going to stop at the Borg.
Yeah.
They're going to now move to the rest of the Delta Quadrant. And she says, if we back off and we wait, we'll have lost our only opportunity to have an advantage. And she is not wrong.
Oh.
Because if they wipe out the Borg, we now don't have anybody else. Oh, you're going to go to the Kazon? No, right? Maybe the phage will work on them. Who knows?
How long before they start taking over the rest of the quadrant?
They're both so right because she has lost her mind.
Agreed.
He's right about that, but she's also right because this could mean the end of everything.
There is another side to this, something Chakotay failed to bring up. 8472 has some ridiculously powerful weapons. A couple of shots take out an entire cube. If the Borg are able to get their hands on that and learn how to use it, equally, everyone in the quadrant is screwed.
Because we haven't even seen the worst of it yet. There's something worse coming in this episode. So yeah, that's absolutely true. And we don't normally see with our primary captain in Star Trek, we don't normally see someone fighting this much against their idea, someone that they really trust, right, who's part of their crew. This is an abnormal conversation, and it was played just beautifully here. It was really well written, beautifully acted, and I just love the fact that I come away from that thinking, you are both right, and you are both wrong. I really like that.
Yeah.
It is something you would more likely have seen on Deep Space Nine.
Right.
And in fact, there were scenes like between Bashir and Sisko where they argued. I think we were talking about that biomimetic gel. That was one time where Bashir was just, what are you doing? And Sisko just like, get out of here. I'm not talking about it. Because he had to make a decision that he felt in the end was the right one.
There's also another interesting point there. The way Mulgrew playing Janeway does that moment where she's very severe and says the debate is over. And then almost gaslighting him.
But we're friends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then very softly says, do I have your support? I'm like, oh, you are playing him so badly there.
Yeah, she's gone beyond the point of reason.
Yeah.
Just like Jean-Luc in First Contact. It's very similar.
Yes. What was the line from Alfred Woodard? They're used to your orders making sense.
Yep. The only other thing I would say is her saying, I guess I'm alone after all. I think we were trying to tie that back to her talking at the beginning about feeling alone, but it's just like you put yourself there. You just refuse to have a conversation about it. If you had at least had a conversation, I can see the risk because she's saying, no, they're all going to sway to the other side because they just want to save themselves. They're not going to make the right decision.
Yeah.
But now, are they going to trust you from here?
Okay, this is an overanalysis point, but now's the perfect time for it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Janeway, the correct thing to do here would be, considering there's a moral and an ethical question about dealing with the Borg, about getting home, as well as the risks to the whole quadrant, if this really is an alien invasion, should she be polling the crew? Should this be a joint decision? Is this something beyond just a captain saying, full steam ahead, damn the torpedoes?
No, I think you've asked me something like that before. My answer is going to be the same. Absolutely not. This is not a democracy. And the same is generally true in decisions I make in my job as well. It's not a democracy. I'm talking about her basically getting ideas from other people in her trusted group because there might be a better idea in there, but also allowing them to speak and you listening to them is how you build loyalty. So I'm talking about something very different from you asking, should we do a poll? I think absolutely not. You should not do a poll. That would... No, because I think a bad decision from a poll is actually going to destroy everything. So I don't think that's a good idea. But the part that she's missing is explaining the reasons for her decision to everyone.
Very good point.
I think about having made some difficult decisions that not everybody would agree with in jobs that I've had in the past, and then having to put together like a PowerPoint explaining, here's what we're doing and here's why. Because if you don't say why, you're really
seems just dictatorial.
You're shaking morale, and you've got people saying, what a shit decision, right? But she should at least explain to them why. Like this conversation that she had with Chakotay, she laid out her why better than she did in the previous scene where she just kept like defending herself. Right. She should have said, look, here's the 5 reasons I came to this conclusion. Number 1, this species is going to kill everybody. And this is our only chance to have any kind of an impact. And if we don't take it, we are just giving up. And we're going to be not even assimilated. We're going to be killed by them. Yeah,
they're not interested in assimilation. They're interested in destruction.
You have to share the why. You just have to.
Interesting, because I would worry about a lot of the crew. It's supposed to be an enlightened humans. How many of the crew would maybe have a deep moral problem with working with a mass murdering race that assimilates people?
Lost people at Wolf 359. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Call them all and tell them why.
Do you think this should have been a communication issue?
She does that in the pilot. She talks to the whole ship about what's happening, but she doesn't do that here. Even just tell your leaders so that they can tell other people. Gotcha. But she's, I hate to beat up on Janeway's leadership, but I don't agree with her actions.
Do you think the writers were trying to show Janeway as the Starfleet captain, that element of all the captains, Picard, Sisko, Kirk, that there is a point that they are doing this to hell with everything else. The sort of the hard-nosed captain, the decision has been made. We're going through hell, and you're not going to be able to turn me around.
I think they're leaning into a couple things, and one of them is ultimately the captain is really alone.
Yeah.
And feels the weight of responsibility and sometimes takes on too much. So I think they're leaning into that. And then I think they're leaning into the Borg breaks them. Oh. Because they just did that with First Contact. They just did it really successfully.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's still very fresh in the memory. Yeah.
And I would also say they don't necessarily know how to be leaders themselves. So they write what they write.
Yeah.
Because she says it. I mean, they make a point of her saying, well, then I guess I'm alone. Well, you made yourself alone.
Yeah. Your actions have led to that.
Maybe it would have made a difference if we had more of a sense of time urgency in this episode. Like we have an hour to make a decision, or we have 3 hours before this happens, but that's not, you kind of feel like you're just hanging out and you've got all the time in the world and you still made this crazy decision. Like they could have backed off even briefly, like let's go back for a month or, a couple of weeks and see if there's anything else we could do. But no, she's like, we had this right now.
Yeah, like maybe if Tuvok had pointed out the stuff coming through the wormhole or the singularity, they'd be like, there'll be 4.5 million ships.
Yeah, that would have been...
in our space within 48 hours.
Yeah, that would have been a good sense of urgency.
Yeah.
Like if we don't do this within 48 hours, the invasion will be complete.
Yeah.
And we're not even done with the episode.
We cut to a space shot of Voyager approaching a yellow-colored world and 2 Borg cubes are visible. And I keep thinking, I wonder what this place looked like before the Borg screwed it all up.
Yeah. Green, blue, earthy.
Tuvok reports there are 3 Borg planets in the system, and a Borg cube is approaching. They hail, doing the classic, "You will be assimilated, resistance is futile," unlocking them in a tractor beam. Janeway tells them she has tactical details on species 8472. Initially, this does not work. The Borg continue their "you will be assimilated" shtick. And she sends over a video showing the nanoprobes destroying 8472 cells, telling them they have 10 seconds to comply, or she'll go all Ed 209 on the knowledge they possess.
Oh, it's Ed 209.
RoboCop.
Oh.
You have 10 seconds to comply.
Oh, got it.
And the Borg can't afford to risk losing this information. This kind of works, but instead of disengaging the tractor, they beam Janeway onto the cube, right through Voyager's shields, I'll note. On the cavernous Borg ship, they ask for terms. She wants safe passage, and once through Borg territory, she'll give them the research. The Borg just say they want the technology now, telling her 8472 must be stopped. Our survival is your survival.
Mm-hmm. Sure it is.
Janeway just says, no, safe passage first, or no deal.
It's like trickle-down economics. If I get rich, you'll be in better shape. No.
Janeway offers to work together to develop the technology and make the weapon more quickly. But the negotiations are interrupted as the Borg come under attack from 8472. A new quantum singularity has appeared and 9 more bioships are coming through. Voyager can't get a lock on the captain, and they can't break the tractor beam. Cut to a shot of the bioships approaching the planet, and they form like a spoke formation, with one in the center and the other 8 round the outside. So in this formation, like lightning starts jumping from the outer ships all to the central one, which then fires a single beam at the Borg planet, and it explodes. Species 8472 has a Death Star.
I did not remember that. That was so dramatic.
Yes, it was really good. The Borg cube, still tractoring Voyager, flees as the exploding debris spreads outwards.
And destroys the other cubes.
And we get to be continued.
Oh, man.
End of Scorpion Part 1.
It was funny to watch that cube flying away, like pulling Voyager behind them, like, wait, let's get out of here.
Yes. Run away, run away.
Well, that was a lot of drama.
Oh, yes.
Do you have overanalysis?
Yes, I have some overanalysis. I think the first one, and we kind of talked about this, is this Janeway in the Pale Moonlight episode? I can live with this. I can live with this.
I mean, she certainly has to live with it if her idea works.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing, the Borgs and learning. B'Elanna says about how the Borg only learn through assimilation. Haven't we seen the Borg figure things out? So they have some problem-solving skills.
Yeah, it's not entirely true. I mean, they have also sensors.
Right.
Yeah.
And remember the first time they encountered the Borg, it started accessing their computer and downloading all the Starfleet details?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So if they can't learn, then why would you even need that?
Well, but they obviously haven't been able to do that with species 8472, right?
Okay, so this maybe is maybe it's a language or miscommunication thing of what really was meant there was if they can't scan them and pull all the information, they don't understand.
Yeah, the only way to learn then is assimilate, and they tried that and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And maybe Janeway's right. They're in a bit of a panic, and they're in a situation they've never been in before.
They probably have no idea how to react to it. If they've never suffered from a true existential threat that can just wipe them out like nothing, they probably wouldn't know how to react. And I expect all the smarts comes from the Queen. And if she doesn't know how to react to this, they might have a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
Free thinking is not a big thing with the Borg.
No.
They don't have breakout sessions where everyone brainstorms.
Definitely not.
Next thing, slightly off topic. Seeing as there's constantly temporal anomalies going on with Starfleet ships across the whole galaxy, I'm thinking at least one ship could end up in the late 1400s and take some really detailed scans of Leonardo da Vinci, so you could make perfect programs of him, or even other historical figures. So maybe a lot of these characters we see in the holo programs are actually perfect recreations because they were able to do scans of the people.
Maybe. Doesn't seem like a great use of resources.
Well, you're thrown back in time. You're back there anyway. You might as well do something useful until the Vulcan on board figures out how you can slingshot back to current timeline.
Right.
And that, seeing as I think I brought up all my over-analysis points while we talked about the episode, is it. Over to you.
Well, yeah, it makes sense. We talked a lot. I have 3 things in my over-analysis. The first one is Janeway doing the right thing, which I do think we talked about quite a bit. So I don't think we need to hash that one over. I did want to talk a little bit about how interesting it is that she's built this Da Vinci holodeck program, because I complained quite a bit when the Doctor was drawing on characters out of history.
Yeah.
This is quite different. I don't want somebody to send me an email saying you can't complain about one and not complain about the other, but I think it's quite different because the Doctor was choosing characters from history that he was then going to use to take and modify his own programming.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Janeway, as we discussed way back in season 1, is lacking a sounding board. And I suggested that she build herself a holographic counselor or have other admirals or captains in the holodeck that she could talk to. And this is essentially what she's done here.
Oh, somebody who's a scientist and a philosopher, and she can bounce ideas off.
Yeah, because if it's really about creative decision making or just somewhere that she can sort of talk through her own ideas out loud to help her come up with other ideas. And also, too, maybe it's about stretching some artistic muscles that maybe she wants to stretch. So I think this is more positive than what the Doctor did. The Doctor just tried to take artificially created personality traits and then add them to his own programming, and it didn't make any sense. I mean, it was worse who he chose as well, but that's a different story.
Well, I think that part of it is the naivety and the lack of experience of the Doctor. He doesn't have full understanding and, if you like, heads towards the simple approach because he doesn't understand nuance. It's all part of the Doctor learning.
That's very true. Yeah, that's very true. And then the last thing I had is just something I read on Memory Alpha about that pile of Borg bodies. That was actually a bunch of action figures.
Oh, funny.
Somebody dissected them and then glued them back together. And if you pause it, because I did this yesterday, if you pause it, I paused it on my computer screen so I could look at it up close, you can see the little plastic faces. And it's really funny, but how effective was it? It was great. It was a great effect.
That looked really good. That looked like a large model. It looked like somebody had built almost like a bonfire-sized pile of Borgs.
Totally. Yeah,
that's really funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff about this episode on Memory Alpha, if you want to go and look at that. But that one I picked out as one of my favorites. If I go to Women in the Future, really not much to say there. And in Janeway's leadership corner, I think that Chakotay showed great leadership in that he took the difficult conversation to her privately, which I think is always very important. And also he stated his piece, but also said, I'm going to do what you want, but I don't agree with the decision. So I do think he was doing a good job, and I do question whether or not Janeway was showing good leadership in many cases, but we have already talked about that in great detail.
There's both ways of saying she was making great focused leadership and she was making terrible single focus leadership.
I think it's kind of cool if we look at it like the strain she's under, thinking that she really is alone and these tough decisions are hers and hers only. And maybe that strain has finally kind of gotten to her. Right. I do like that. I don't know that that's really what we're doing because that's not really how Star Trek episodic television works. But I think you could explain it that way.
I made the comment earlier of, is this the weight of command catching up with her?
Yeah.
And I feel part of this is they're all there because of that initial decision she made.
Yeah.
And she, and that is eating at her. People have died with her decisions that have stranded them there.
Is that the reason she's so unreasonable about, no, we can't go back. No, we can't give up. I made this decision. I made a promise that I was going to get these people home.
I think that's 100% what the motivation of Janeway is here. That's why she's so hyper-focused, because all of this is her fault.
Interesting. Because I can see that. Like, I might be that way too, where I'm just, clinging to this thing that, well, I made that decision. I have to prove that it's right.
Yeah.
But that's not how you make yourself a great leader. At some point you go, oh, that was a terrible decision. I'm not saying her decision was bad, but at some point, I guess you have to look at yourself. I think I used to work with someone who would frequently say, sometimes you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, oh, I am ugly. And he just meant I made a mistake and it was on me. And now I have to adapt and adjust.
Well, yeah. I think what you're seeing here is some of that maybe catching up with Janeway. And at the same time, like you said, she's not wrong.
No, she's not wrong, because the outcome of species 8472 taking over the Delta Quadrant is catastrophic. She's not wrong about that. I think maybe she just handled the communication of it in a way that wasn't great as a leader. And like I said earlier, I think they're also playing on coming right off of Picard in First Contact. Because you used to say all the time, how does Picard sleep? Well, he sleeps because it's episodic television and he's able to sleep. But First Contact pulled that all out and said, actually, he doesn't sleep great.
It still catches up with him.
Mm-hmm. Of course, they don't know anything about what happened at First Contact because that happened while they were in the Delta Quadrant, but they know about everything that happened before that.
Right.
So let's go to rating. Thumbs up, thumbs down, or neutral. What is your rating?
This is definitely in my top 5 Voyager episodes. Just the first half.
Yeah.
Add in the fact this was a season finale and we had to wait how many months till the next one. This is how you do a Trek end of season cliffhanger. This is up there with TNG's Best of Both Worlds. This is great. Absolute thumbs up. What a fantastic episode. There's so much that happens in this episode that's great. There's a lot of talking heads in it. I would agree. But the performances from everyone are top notch. So thumbs up. Over to you.
Yeah, I agree. It's a absolutely great episode. Thumbs up. Incredible performances from Robert Beltran and Kate Mulgrew.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of made it what it is.
Yep.
And you're right. It's as good, as dramatic, as impactful as Best of Both Worlds Part 1.
Yep.
What I remember about Best of Both Worlds Parts 1 and 2 is that Part 1 is great. Part 2 is not as great.
Yeah.
It's still good, but it's not as good because it doesn't end as dramatically.
Yeah.
And you always remember those cliffhangers. They just stick with you forever. It's different when you're binging because you can just go right to the next one, but we had to wait months to watch it. And
I am looking forward to watching it.
It sticks with you. Yeah, and I don't remember what happens in... I mean, I remember some things, but I don't remember how we resolve the whole thing. So it'll be news to me to watch it. And I'm looking forward to it, but I don't remember, did we think, part 2 was kind of a letdown to part 1? I don't know, but we'll see, because we have the ability to just go and watch it now.
Yeah, I'm just going to go sit down and watch it.
Okay, so that wraps up Season 3, Episode 26. And it was so great to end on just some great episodes at the end.
Yeah.
Right? 3 of the best episodes of the season are just right here towards the end.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So that was really good.
It's great to go out on that level of high. I mean, we've had some fantastic episodes. We had what did you call it? The dirge.
the dirge of Season 3.
Yeah.
Where there were at least 3 terrible episodes. And we were like, are we ever getting out of this? And then, yes, we got out of it.
Hooray.
Yes.
And we got dinosaurs and Borg.
This is what we're here for.
Yeah.
This is good stuff. So come back next week where we will do, as James said at the beginning, we will do a season wrap-up, talk about the best and worst episodes of the season, talk about a few other things that happened in the season, and then we will take a couple of weeks off before we dive into season 4. In the meantime, if you'd like to send us your own over-analysis of this or any episode, or if you just want to say something nice, you can email us at ReBingeIT@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us on social media. We are on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at ReBingeIT. And we're also on the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Star Trek TTM podcasts.
Thanks for joining us on the ReBinge Star Trek Voyager podcast.
That's it for me.
And that's it from me.